Hotep, hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, writer, and historian. Today is Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. And I just wanted to come on and do a very quick overview and let you know that I'm teaching an online class today on Sunday. 2 p.m., we're going to start a little after 2 p.m. to about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 10-week online class that I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So I just wanted to come on for a few minutes to let you know some of the information that we cover in this 10-week online class and why this type of information is so important, how it impacts us today. Okay, so I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, and we deal with history starting in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase. We know that the U.S. is going to double its territory that because of the land it gets from the Louisiana Purchase, 1803, the land it gets from France. Okay, the U.S. gets 828,000 square miles of land for less than 3 cents an acre. It basically doubles the territory of the U.S. at that time, and it's going to also increase the need for slave labor in a lot of this new territory. Okay, so I just posted the link here so you can register for this online class. All right. This is a 10-week online class that I teach, and we have the information on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So the class is on sale, $60, regularly $130. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So as soon as you register, you can watch the class we did last week. You could join us in class today. Okay, we're going to start a little after 2 p.m. today. So we go through and look at history leading up to the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865. All right. And we look at Reconstruction, 1865, 1877, Jim Crow era, World War I, 1914, 1918, Great Migration, 1915, 1970, World War II, which starts in September 1939 when Hitler invades Poland. The U.S. gets involved in World War II in 1941, December 7th, 1941, with the attack on Pearl Harbor. And then we deal with post-World War II and the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power movement. And we take you throughout history, and we look at the laws and policies that were put in place to help put us in the position where we are in now to understand where we need to go from here. And we look at, doing Reconstruction, especially towards the end of Reconstruction, a lot of the progress that African Americans have made, we see this reversed. We see these laws and policies put in place even before Reconstruction ends to attack the African American vote. We see massacres take place like the Vicksburg Massacre of 1874, things like this. We see the Clinton, Mississippi Massacre, 1875. But so we look at the Civil War, what leads up to it. We look at things like the Mexican-American War of 1846, 1848, and the U.S. is going to get Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Utah, and Nevada. They get all that land from Mexico in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which is what ends the Mexican-American War. We look at the Missouri Compromise of 1820, Compromise of 1850. We look at these laws and policies put in place to try to avoid a civil war taking place. And we see how African Americans and the fight over slavery is central in a lot of these different bills that are being passed. Okay. So the Reconstruction era is a very, very crucial period of history. And it's a period of history that is not taught very much in a lot of schools. And this causes a problem with our understanding of history and our understanding of politics. Okay. For a 14-year period, the U.S. government took steps to try and integrate the nation's newly freed African Americans into society. Between 1863 and 1867, the U.S. government undertook the task of integrating nearly 4 million formerly enslaved people into society after the Civil War, bitterly divided the country over the issue of slavery. A white slaveholding South that had built its economy and culture on slave labor was now forced by its defeat in a war that claimed 620,000 lives to change its economic, political, and social relations with African Americans. So this is a good piece from history.com, which is the official website of the History Channel, that talks about Reconstruction. So we go through Reconstruction is a crucial period of time. You have the U.S. Bureau of Freedmen, Refugees, and Abandoned Lands created at this period of time, March 1865, the Freedmen's Bureau. You have the Freedmen's Bank created in 1865 as well. Freedmen's Bank is going to collapse in 1874. You're going to have, so we go through and look at this history and look at what African Americans were accomplishing during Reconstruction also. And then we see how there is a declining there's a declining desire by Republicans to continue to intervene in Southern racial conflicts on behalf of African Americans. As you go through the 1870s, you see a declining increase in Republicans to continue to intervene in these Southern racial conflicts where African Americans are being attacked by white Democrats, by white supremacists, etc. Now, Reconstruction is a critical period of history. There is a really good article that I've talked about a number of times on my show, the African History Network show. This is from Time Magazine, time.com, and it deals with the study by the Zen Education Project, which shows how the history of Reconstruction is not correctly being taught and taught very little in most schools in the country. Okay. So, hey, if you all like this type of information, give us a thumbs up, heart, give us a star, give us some stars here on Facebook. Be sure to register for this 10-week online class from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So I teach this at our online school, the African History Network online school. I'm here doing a brief preview and giving you, letting you know some of the content that we cover in the class. Okay, the class is on sale, $60, regularly $130. I do this one on 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. On Saturdays, I teach ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they teach you in school. And then we also have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes for $100. It's a $260 value. You can register for both classes for $100. And there's also bonus content that you'll get, some bonus lectures from me also. Okay. So we just posted the link here, and we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If we go back to this article here from time.com, Time Magazine, a new report finds that 45 states are failing to teach students about the period that shaped race relations after the Civil War, and that's Reconstruction. Now, this article was from January 12, 2022. And that, as I've been talking about on my shows and a lot of my broadcasts, I draw a connection between the January 6, 2021 insurrection and the political violence inflicted upon African Americans and many white Republicans during Reconstruction. So this article says, in the aftermath of the insurrection a year ago at the U.S. Capitol, many leading historians drew parallels between the violence and the violence on January 6th and the Reconstruction era, the period of political revolution directly following the American Civil War. Quote, the events, now this is Eric Foner, who's a well-known historian, Pulitzer Prize winning historian and author, Eric Foner. He said, the events we saw reminded me very much of the Reconstruction era and the overthrow of Reconstruction, which was often accompanied or accomplished, I should say, by violent assaults on elected officials. And Eric Foner is a Pulitzer Prize winning historian and author of Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution, 1863 to 1877. He said this in an interview with the New Yorker magazine, published a week after the January 6, 2021 insurrection, which was instigated by the traitor-in-chief, Benedict Donald. Now, scholars say studying the aftermath of the Civil War can help put in context many of the most seminal events in the U.S. in recent years, from the brutal murder of George Floyd by police in 2021 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to the voter suppression laws enacted after African-American voters played a big role in helping Joe Biden and Kamala Harris be elected president and vice president in 2020. The backlash from Republicans in state legislatures trying to pass these voter restriction bills, claiming, based upon the big lie, claiming that the election was stolen from Trump and all this nonsense. And they're running on this, they're pushing this conspiracy theory to then suppress the African-American vote, Latino votes, Asian Americans, etc. But despite the timeliness of the era, in today's climate, many students in American schools will not get a full education on Reconstruction until they get to college. This is problematic because your understanding of history helps to influence the policies that you support, who you elect in the public office, things like this, okay? And after Reconstruction ends, you're going to see these southern states rewrite their state constitutions to institute poll taxes and literacy tests to target African-American voters. Okay. And Mississippi was one of the first states to do this. And what happened in Mississippi became known as the Mississippi Plan. And it was adopted by other southern states, South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, etc. And they said that they were there to exclude the Negro. When they rewrote the Mississippi State Constitution at the Mississippi State Convention in 1890, Judge Solomon Saladin Calhoun, who was the white county judge who presided over the convention, he said, let's tell the truth if it bursts the bottom of the universe. We came here to exclude the Negro. Nothing short of this will answer. They rewrote the state constitution to impose poll taxes and literacy tests to target African Americans in a state where African Americans were the majority of the voters. Okay. And this became known as the Mississippi Plan. And this became the model throughout the South that was adopted by other states to rewrite their state constitutions to do the very same thing. So what we see now taking place is with these voter suppression bills, over 400 have been introduced in 49 states. 19 states have passed 34 laws. 19 states have passed 34 laws. Last count I saw by the Brennan Justice Center. This is a repeat of what took place after Reconstruction ended. So we go through the Reconstruction era. We look at the Mexican-American War, 1846, 1848. And we know that as a result of the Mexican-American War and the U.S. getting the territory that makes up California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Nevada, then you have the Compromise of 1850. And Compromise of 1850 consists of 5 bills to organize the land that the U.S. got for the Mexican-American War. One of those bills was the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. We deal with the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854. We talk about Manifest Destiny as well. Then a special field order number 15, 40 acres and a mule. We talk about some of the history of Juneteenth. General Order number 3 that was read by Major General Gordon Granger in 1865, June 1865, as he goes throughout Texas to inform the 250,000 enslaved Africans in Texas that they're free. Now, this is before the 13th Amendment is ratified December 6, 1865. Okay, because that's what legally frees the slaves, the 13th Amendment. And we deal with why did the Civil War keep going on for another 16 months after General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant at the Appomattox Courthouse, April 9th, 1865. The Civil War kept going on for another 16 months. For all practical purposes, it ended when General Lee surrendered, but it didn't officially end till 16 months after that, till basically 1866. 14th Amendment, 1868, which grants citizenship rights to African Americans. We deal with people like Sarah Rector, who was the richest Afro-American girl in America. Oil was discovered on her land in Oklahoma, and she got land because of the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866 and the Dawes Allotment Act of 1887. She got 160 acres of land because of those Indian treaties. Her family was born on Creek Indian land, and her family had been enslaved. They had enslaved Creek Indian ancestry, because we know that what are known as the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians, all owned African slaves. Okay, and when they got pushed off their land in southeastern United States because of the Indian Removal Act of 1830, they all go into Oklahoma and take their African slaves with them. When you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tulsa comes from the Creek Indian word Tallahassee. Okay, and so this gets into some of the origins of Black Wall Street. In North Tulsa, Black Wall Street, the Greenwood District, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, the intersection of the business district. We deal with the 15th Amendment of 1870 and the fact that nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it explicitly grant anyone the right to vote. And the 15th Amendment does not do that either. It guarantees the right to vote, but it does not explicitly grant anyone the right to vote. And nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it explicitly grant anyone the right to vote. So we do it the 15th Amendment of 1870, the Reconstruction Force Acts, FORCE. There were 4 Force Acts. The most popular one is the third one of 1871, known as the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. We deal with the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Bank, things like the Colfax Massacre, 1873, the Eufaula, Alabama Massacre, 1874, Vicksburg Massacre, Vicksburg, Mississippi Massacre, 1874. And these are tied around, many of these are tied around political violence to attack African Americans to keep us from voting. Okay. Then in 1881, we see we deal with the Compromise of 1877 as well, and why Reconstruction ends. But 1881, we see state legislatures start to pass laws to segregate public transportation. It starts with Tennessee, 1881. Then we see Florida do it, 1887. Mississippi, 1888. Texas, 1889. Louisiana, 1890. Alabama, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Georgia, 1891. South Carolina, 1898, North Carolina, 1899, Virginia, 1900, Maryland, 1904, Oklahoma, 1907. They're passing laws in state legislatures to segregate public transportation, to reverse the rights of African Americans. And then they're rewriting their state constitutions as well, starting with Mississippi in 1890, to impose poll taxes, literacy tests, in some cases, property ownership requirements. Okay, then grandfather clauses in 1898, like with Louisiana. Okay, all this is targeting African Americans, trying to keep us from voting. They're going to institute things like all white primaries, like in Texas. That's going to be challenged in 1940 by Lonnie E. Smith, and the case was argued by Thurgood Marshall of the NAACP and William Hastie. And this case goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay, Smith versus Allwright, 1944, U.S. Supreme Court case, and U.S. Supreme Court rules that it's unconstitutional for Texas to have these all-white primaries. All right. We talk about people like Ida B. Wells. We deal with World War One, World War Two, Great Migration, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, Great Migration. 6 million African Americans migrate from the South up north and out west. Is totally going to change this country. Okay, we deal with the Great Depression, stock market crash in 1929, the Great Depression, the movie Birth of a Nation, February 8th, 1915, which rejuvenates the Ku Klux Klan and depicts the Klan as being the heroes in the movie. Okay, and we look at the protests against the movie The Birth of a Nation, led by people like Shalata Bass, who was the editor of the California Eagle, which was the oldest African-American newspaper on the West Coast. William Monroe Trotter, she was a member of the NAACP, Charlotta Bass. And the NAACP led protests against this. In Boston, William Monroe Trotter leads protests against this as well. We talk about people like Oscar Michaud, who was directing and writing films to project African Americans in a positive light that was more realistic than some of the stereotypical images we were seeing. We deal with the Red Summer of 1919. We have over 25 major race riots in this country. This was the year after World War I ends in 1918. And then we deal with World War II, World War I, World War II, Harlem Renaissance, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement. Okay, so this is an online class that I teach on Sundays, normally 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do this at our online school. We're starting a little later today. As soon as you register, you can join us in class. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Also on the thread of this broadcast, I just posted a link here. The class is on sale $60, regularly $130. And we have a bundle pack where you can register for both online classes that I teach. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, so we have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for $100. That's a $260 value. Classes are regularly $130 each. If you've taken any of my online classes in the past, email me at ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Email me, you'll get 50% off on the bundle pack. All right. And also, we're celebrating our 12th year anniversary of me broadcasting the African History Network show. So if you like this type of information, also, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. All right. Okay. And we have the information on our website as well. So, and let me just show you this here quickly. This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN show, SHOW through Cash App, because there's some fake African History Network Cash App accounts out there that people set up. That's not us. This is ours, $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. You can click right here. We have the link here. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. Here, this one, their tag is the AHN show, SHO. They left off the W because they can't do the W. But here in the name, they put the AHN show because they're fraudulent. This one here, they used our logo. They're in the name, they put the AHN show, but their actual tag is $ the AHNS. These are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. If you sent money to them, contact Cash App, let them know that they're fraudulent. This is ours right here. All right. And our Cash App account was set up before these fake ones were set up also. We also have the donate button here for PayPal as well. Okay. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting 6 days a week, pay some of the bills, etc. All right, look, I have to get out of here. I have to teach this class. You can register for the class and join us in class live. And remember, all the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch them anytime. Okay. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace. And be sure to watch the African History Network show Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well, on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF, And then also we broadcast right here on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So we'll be on Sunday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss our Sunday show. Download the iHeartRadio app. You can listen to 9, 10 a.m. Superstation live. And then also search for the African History Network show, because my audio podcasts are there on iHeartRadio as well. Okay. All right. We have to get out of here. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win.